Hello everybody, I'm Rene Ramos, Director of the Lynn and Lewis Wolfson II Florida Moving Image Archives, and this is Rewind, the show that looks back on Florida's past with historic film and video. It's time for another trip back into the past, so sit back, relax, and enjoy another episode of Rewind.
This is Montage.
You know what the rules are here in Miami.
Are you or your neighbors guilty of being drips? The Montage Water Police hit the streets to wage war on South Florida water wasters.
If we do not do these studies, we will have no new drugs.
Are they human guinea pigs or medical pioneers? For some, testing new drugs is their only hope. And the artist of these paintings used to be the queen of disco. See a side of Donna Summer never revealed before. Plus, who's living at the airport? And your chance to win a vacation to Walt Disney World on tonight's Montage.
Hello, welcome to Montage. I'm Ed Odell. Question, doesn't it get you mad that you've been obeying water restrictions but your neighbor hasn't? Do you see people watering lawns or washing cars when they shouldn't? Do you say to yourself, something should be done? Well, so did Channel 4 reporter John Holden.
Well, you know, that's right, Ed. You know, those people who water their lawns even when it's raining got me so dripping mad that, well, I decided to take the law into my own hands. Remember the good old days when subtropical South Florida was lush and green and wet? Well, ever since Mother Nature has been stingy with the precipitation, everything is dry and hot and parched. Our water levels are dangerously low because of insufficient showers, and that means water restrictions. No car washing or lawn watering outside the designated times. But there are water hogs out there who refuse to play by the rules. So who are those big drippers? Well, we went looking for water wasters with Broward Deputy Sheriff Carol Robbins.
I've had people tell me when I've gone to their house, yeah, I know there's water restrictions, and yeah, I know I'm not allowed to water today, but this was the only time I could get up and water my lawn, so I watered it. And then I usually issue them a notice to appear in court and let them explain it to the judge.
We searched high and low for a water crime in progress, but for today, all was dry on these Broward County streets. Hoses lay dormant, sprinklers were silent. But I just kept having this nagging feeling that someone, somewhere, was wasting water. So I decided to take matters into my own hands. As the unofficial water police, it's my job to make sure not a drop is dripping at the wrong time. I thought I'd see just who was obeying the water law. I'm John Holden with the Water Police.
I see.
Yeah, I'm walking around just seeing if anybody's watering their lawns or anything. Have you seen any your neighbors or anybody?
No, people, so far as I know, are adhering to the regulations.
Okay, well, keep up the good work. I was just noticing the water going over here. Yeah. Nobody's supposed to be watering after 8 o'clock in the morning. No. Do you know anything about that? You're not watering.
No, I'm not watering.
You're just planning.
I'm just planning.
You're not watering, are you?
No.
Okay, just checking. I'm with the Water Police and just checking to see if anybody's watering.
No, nobody's watering.
Not anybody anywhere?
Not around here.
Oh, thank you. Aha, finally caught in the act. In this case, a yard worker, observed with shooting hose in hand. I notice you're watering right now.
No, I'm just watering the plants.
But
the plants right here don't get water, and they're about to die.
But it's not allowed to water. You know what the rules are here in Miami. No watering after 8 o'clock in the morning. And no plants, and you were even watering the concrete a little while ago.
Oh, no, not really.
It looks pretty wet to me.
I was trying to get to my plants over here.
But you know the rules, though. No watering after 8 o'clock in the morning. Not plants, not grass, certainly not concrete.
I'm here every day watering the plants.
Every day you've been watering?
Right.
You've been breaking the law every day then?
I remember, well, I've just been doing what my job called for.
I finally got him to turn the water off, and this time I let him go with just a warning. And then there was the man I found washing his dog, right in broad daylight.
But you must realize that this dog is incontinent, and she just did it all over herself. I mean, you just can't have regular hours with a dog that's incontinent.
Well, maybe that is a good excuse, but remember, there is a water shortage, and you never know where the water police may be prowling. It's a wet job, but somebody's got to do it.
Now, if you see people breaking the water restrictions, don't call Officer Holden.
No, Ed, I've hung up my water badge, but I feel it my civic responsibility to go over the restrictions just one more time. Now, in general, even addresses have Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday to sprinkle, and for odd numbers, it's Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. Friday is off limits to everyone, and the times are from 4 to 8 a.m.
I'll bet you keep us out of hot water. Thanks, John.
Coming up next.
I was trying everything they possibly could do to help this man.
Would you take a drug before it's been approved? For some, it's their last chance. And Donna Summer shows her real colors.
What if you were dying and the doctor told you there was no cure? Would you take an experimental drug before it gets approval, not knowing what it might do to you? As Channel 4 reporter Katrina Daniel tells us, for medical science, these trials are necessary. But for patients, they're the last hope.
Dr. Jekyll used himself to test a potion he was trying to create. Unfortunately, it backfired and the results turned him into the nightmarish Mr. Hyde. But today, with the help of modern science, thousands of people are human guinea pigs, allowing themselves to be used in experiments to determine whether a new drug or medical treatment works, whether it's safe, and when it should be used.
When you talk to these patients, they don't feel as if they're human guinea pigs. They feel hopeful that there may be a last chance.
The process is called a clinical trial, and it's the only way the government will allow a new drug to get on the market. Dr. Andrew Gutterman is a neurologist, and he conducts clinical drug trials on Alzheimer's patients at the University of Miami, in conjunction with Mount Sinai Medical Center.
If we do not do these studies, we will have no new drugs.
That girl. That was very nicely done.
About 4 years ago, Lillian Simon noticed her brilliant, hardworking, loving husband, Alfred, was changing. He was becoming forgetful, and living with him was getting difficult.
He's very belligerent. He's very aggressive. He's not a gentle person anymore. He's a tough person to handle.
Doctors told Lillian that her husband has Alzheimer's and that there was nothing they could do for him. They told her the only option available was to enroll Al in an investigational study being conducted at Mount Sinai, where doctors are testing drugs that might help slow down the progression of the disease.
They said, you never know when you're going to hit the jackpot. And as long as there was a chance of maybe hitting the jackpot, I wasn't giving up that chance. I was trying everything they possibly could do to help this man.
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Dr. Gutterman says no matter what study patients participate in, they have to meet certain criteria in order to be accepted. The guidelines are set up by the pharmaceutical companies developing the drug, along with the approval of the FDA.
There are certain established tests that have to be given that patients must be within a certain range. And on the basis of a number of these tests, if they fall within the range, if they are not taking medications which are excludable, if they do not have other medical problems that are excludable, they can be enrolled in the study.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the card for about 10 seconds. I want you to concentrate on it. I want you to visualize the pictures in your mind, because after the 10 seconds I'm going to ask you to name back any of them you can from recall.
Al comes here to the Mount Sinai Medical Center every other week for a series of psychological and physical tests. Doctors are able to track how the drug is affecting him physically and mentally.
What's the date?
June 15.
And what year is it?
1910, I think.
Over the years, Al has participated in 3 different studies. Currently, he is on a double-blind study, which means neither Al nor the doctors know if he's taking a placebo or a dummy pill, or if he is taking the actual medication. This allows the scientists to know if the drug is really working and not just having psychological effects.
While his memory, I would say, has only marginally improved, his ability to concentrate, his ability to interact more appropriately with his surroundings and with his wife have improved.
Okay, Al, can you differentiate between the arrows?
Because these drugs are experimental, there are certain risks involved. The drug Al may be taking has been known to cause increased salivation, sweating, and severe headaches. But Lillian feels it's worth it.
I had nothing to lose but everything to gain. I feel that these programs, these medications that he has been on, though it hasn't stopped or improved the Alzheimer's, has held him back from sliding back fast.
But it could take as long as 10 years before the drug Al is testing for finds its way into your medicine chest. Only 5 in 4,000 new drugs make it to human testing, and only 1 of those 5 tested in people is approved.
What can we do for you today?
4 years ago, doctors practically gave Juan Di Miguel a death sentence. He was diagnosed with a rare form of leukemia. There was little his doctor could do for him except recommend an experimental drug treatment program. He did not hesitate in making his decision.
I had a terrible disease that had no cure, that I would not survive that period. I was in fear already of dying, so it was an easy choice at the time.
But a year and a half later, the disease returned, and the drug he was on before proved to be ineffective. His physician, Dr. Enrique Davila, enrolled him in another study of a drug that had been sitting on the scientific shelf for a while.
Pentostatin is an old chemotherapeutic agent that was discovered many years ago and remained dormant without any well-defined clinical application for years until it was sort of rediscovered.
But along with the hope of controlling the disease, the drug also had its downside. Juan suffered from occasional nausea, headaches, disorientation, and depression. But for him, it paid off. He is in remission now and is checked by his doctor regularly. But what if these experimental drugs weren't available to Juan?
I'm certain I wouldn't be here talking to you now.
It's not just a risk for patients taking these unapproved drugs, it's also a financial risk for pharmaceutical companies developing them. The drug industry will spend $7.3 billion on research this year alone.
Up next on Montage.
It's a side of my life I'm not used to talking about it.
She works hard for the money.
As the queen of disco, a few of her royal jewels include hit songs Last Dance and MacArthur's Park. Today, Donna Summer works hard for the money, but using a different talent. We recently caught up with her at the Circle Gallery in Belle Harbor, where it wasn't her voice on the radio, but her paintings on the walls that caught our attention.
It's a side of my life I'm not used to talking about. I just do it. I've been painting really since I was a child. I mean, I think I started getting a little more serious about it, you know, when I was in my teens. And then I would paint, you know, when I wasn't on the road, and it was always sort of an ongoing hobby. And it wasn't until maybe 5 or 6 years ago I started painting on larger canvases, and I discovered that I felt more expressive.
Dreams aren't always bound to come true.
There are pictures here that have lived in my house with me, and I know the people very well. So I talk to them, you know, like Cigar Man over here. I've had him for a couple of years now, and whenever I do my exercises, I'm talking to him going, yeah, you're smoking your cigar. You think, you know, I mean, they become real to me. So that part is difficult. I mean, I cried a lot at the last exhibition because it was the first time that I really had to give up something. So it's tough.
It's hard for her to do, she'll break away.
I don't know what I'm painting when I start. I usually start with a background, and I just stare at the canvas for a while once I start putting colors on. And I very, very rarely, if ever, sketch out a picture and then paint it. I mean, that's not how I work. My self-portrait is really a portrait of a picture of my last album. It's just what I saw in that picture. Sometimes you look at people and there's just this real sadness about them. And I see people behind their eyes. I don't even see, half the time don't even see their faces. And I don't really want to paint anybody that I can see. I want to paint what I see in the person and not what they look like. And I think, to me, that's more important. Definitely painting is more pleasurable. I think, at this point. I think singing is almost painful at times. You know, there's just a lot of insecurity when I get ready to sing. I have nightmares that, you know, everybody's going to hate me and walk out, and I think that every artist at some point goes through that. It's painful. Painting is something you can really put down and is there for a long time. It's documented. A lot of times when I make up songs at home, nobody hears them but me, and they just sort of go out into outer space. And so it's kind of a documentation of work. I think it's a sense of achievement for me. If somebody likes it, that's great. If they don't, I'll hang them on my own walls. That's fine.
Now, before you run out to buy an original Summer, you probably should know her painting can go for as much as $40,000. And if you're going to California, you can catch her next exhibition from May 3rd to the 31st at the Circle Gallery in Beverly Hills.
Who's turning heads at the airport?
If you've taken a flight in or out of Miami International Airport, you've unknowingly flown by some of the airport's outer residents. So next time you're taxiing down the tarmac, see if you can spot the some 50 owls who've made their home alongside the runway. Brian Mealy from the Museum of Science took photographer Joe Harzinski out for a look at the birds, who, by the way, don't give a hoot how noisy their homes get, so that we could bring you Joe's signature video.
At the airport, these owls are used to the same sound, and therefore, and also with all this nice, beautiful high ground, because the airport can't afford the flood, these owls have nice sandy ground that they can dig into and have a perfect burrow. If there's a lot of trees, a lot of things, obstacles in their view, they don't like to nest because things can come by or sneak up on them like predators, cats, dogs, or even raccoons, etc., and actually kill the animal. And therefore, by having a very, what we call high visibility, horizontal visibility, which means nothing around them, is a very ideal site. What we're trying to find out is, are the owls disappearing in South Florida, or are they increasing? Are they stable? And the way we do this is by banding the burn owls. One is a silver band, you'll notice, is a anodized aluminum band from the Fish and Wildlife Service, which you need a special permit for, and the other one is a color band, which helps me with binoculars be able to read the number and tells me what bird that is. Therefore, by individualizing that bird, I can actually track where the bird is going. And thus far, we know that males have a high sight fidelity, and the females stay with that male as long as he's alive. If the male dies, the female will probably move away to another male. And therefore, the male is actually the one who establishes the territory and then attracts the female. But there is monogamy there. As long as both are alive, they seem to stay paired up. We're destroying the environment down here. We're altering it to our benefit, and we're beginning to see the consequences. We're running out of water, a lot more pesticides. Wildlife is disappearing extremely rapidly, and a lot of people are very concerned about this, and a lot of people who just don't care. They're letting someone else solve the problem for them, and they don't realize this is a community effort. Everybody's going to have to pitch in, and we're talking recycling, we're talking water conservation, and if we don't take these indications from these animals disappearing or having problems, we're next in line. So let's live and let live and start learning what we're doing here.
Mealy's research is done in cooperation with the Dade County Aviation Department, and his study will continue for 10 years. Now, did you notice the Muppet secret password we flashed earlier? Well, if you did, you're a little closer to a Disney World vacation. Monday morning on Joy 107 Radio, DJ Ed Goodman will be asking for the word you saw here earlier. If you're the caller chosen with the correct Muppet password, you and up to 3 friends will win a vacation to Walt Disney World and stay at the new Dolphin Resort. It's that simple. We'll be giving away more trips in the next few weeks with Joy 107 and Walt Disney World Resort, so keep watching Montage and listening to Joy 107 to win. Now, let's hear what you had to say about our last montage on the environment.
I'm calling from Plantation, Florida. Just wanted to tell you what a beautiful show you had tonight, especially the segment on the Everglades. I'd love to have my grandchildren see it up north.
This is Linda Breskin. I'm calling from Miami. The saving water in the tank. It's fine if you could get a half-gallon jug in the tank, but it doesn't fit. This show about the environment, I thought it was great, and I think that you should tell people some of the tips on the news and get people thinking.
If you have comments about this or any montage, you can talk back by calling 1-900-246-TALK. That's 1-900-246-TALK. We'll air your comments on next week's show. Each call costs 95 cents. Now, that's all the time we have for this week's montage. Remember, if you caught the Muppet Secret Password, listen to Joy 107 Monday morning for your chance to win a Walt Disney World vacation. And we'll see you next week for another chance to win. Till next time, I'm Ed Odell. Good night.
President Bush is visiting South Florida this weekend. Do you have anything you'd like to say to him?
Hi, President Bush, and I have a question about TV Marti. You're spending $16.5 million a year on that. You should take care of some of the homeless.
Sort of curious to know if he ever read a book that I sent to him.
Lower them taxes. They're too high.
Every time you turn around, the man's off on some vacation spot here, there, or everywhere. Who's running the country?
A lot of us are unhappy in Miami. It's not such a Republican stronghold as you think it is.
Eat your broccoli.
We should do more for AIDS and for Alzheimer's disease, too, as a matter of fact.
Keep working against drugs.
Sure, why not? Hey. Hi, George. Have a nice time in the Keys.
Well, I'd like to say hi, and I hope he has a nice visit here.
I'd like to tell him hello, and I think he's doing a good job, and I hope they make the right decision about Russia.
Just keep the Florida Keys clean.
Well, I think he should pay a little more attention to the environment and help us clean it up.
Wow. No.
I'd like to say to him that he's able to accomplish anything that he wants to accomplish.
I'd like him to save our beaches and our bay and our coast.
Welcome to our lovely city. Enjoy yourself.
How about you?
I think that it's great that he's here.
I'd like to know if he caught any fish. And if he did, what kind, what size, and all that. I never read about that.
Why don't you protect our environment a little better than what you're doing? I think.
That's about it for this edition of Rewind. Just time to remind you that Rewind features historical film and video from the Lynn and Lewis Wolfson II Florida Moving Image Archives. To see more from the Wolfson Archives collections, visit our website, wolfsonarchives.org. You can search the archives catalog and watch video online. And be sure to connect to our YouTube channel, where you will find hundreds of carefully curated clips, or link to the Wolfson Archives Facebook page to keep up with our busy calendar of historical happenings. Until next time, I'm Rene Ramos. Thanks for watching.